I did share my slides in the chat. I encourage folks to follow along with me or to look at them afterwards, but whatever works best for you. So yeah, hi, thanks for having me. I'm CJ Woodford, I'm a project manager with the Digital Research Alliance of Canada, but I'm really here as a representative of the Research Data Alliance Global Open Research Commons International Model Working Group. And so that's what I'm going to be talking to today is a model for improved interoperability and collaboration on a large scale and how that can apply to academic libraries or how we think it could apply to academic libraries. And I'm hoping we can continue to have the conversation move forward on how it can work best for you. So first of all, what is a global open research commons, or what I'm often going to be abbreviating to GORC? The idea of the GORC is an international, interconnected collaboration of research artifacts, platforms, services, and tools. So it's essentially going to be, or what we hope to be, an interconnection of research commons on the national, discipline, or regional level. And there's lots of infrastructures that go together to make that happen, either on a national level and then even on this international level. When we think about commons, we're kind of thinking of research objects, including data, publications, software, all that stuff, in the same place that the researchers are accessing, where they also have access to their analysis tools, the publication mechanisms, and all of that good stuff for open research. The idea is that national infrastructures or pan-national infrastructures such as the European Open Science Cloud or national infrastructures like the Digital Research Alliance of Canada, as well as the Australian Research Data Commons and so on and so forth, will actually interconnect internationally so that there is a full global interconnection of these platforms and services and tools. Part of getting towards this kind of really grand idea of all these things working together seamlessly, the Research Data Alliance had an interest group formed called the Global Open Research Commons Interest Group. Their main mandate was to create a roadmap of how do we get to global interoperability and interoperation of all of these digital research infrastructures that make commons and then the commons that work together. The interest group realized that you can't make a roadmap on how you get there if you don't know what you're talking about. So the Global Open Research Commons International Model Working Group was formed to support that work. And so the model, which was actually released in October, is a non-prescriptive set of considerations on what you might consider to become part of a commons or a digital research infrastructure that wants to be part of the GORC overall. And so with the what in hand through the model, that'll feed the how you get there on the roadmap. And both of these things together, we're hoping will lead us along the path to open research globally, talking the same language and artifacts available for our researchers and moving things forward in that direction. The interest group came up with a set of essential elements that they recognize that digital research infrastructures that want to be part of the GORC or that want to be part of commons in general or that want to be commons have to have something in all of these hexagons. The model is built behind these essential elements, and there's actually about 400 items in the model overall. But when it comes to these essential elements as main topics or main pillars, they're kind of split between human elements and technical elements. And you'll probably see aspects of your academic library represented in each one to different degrees and different amounts and different projects and services that you provide accordingly. So just to highlight each one very quickly, there's human elements, including your governance structures, your rules of participation and access, so who can access your services and tools when and why and how. Sustainability in terms of funding, but not just funding, but also your community engagement. So how are the people in your host institution or your community engaging with you, and do they trust what you're providing? Are they coming back time and time again? Engagement with your community to ensure that they are aware of what you're offering, and the human capacity for your internal personnel, as well as ensuring that the skills needed to participate in the services that your academic library provides are available. The centerpiece here that connects our human elements to technical elements is interoperability and standards. Those are kind of baked into all the other essential elements. And not surprisingly, they're also part of the technical elements, such as your compute, storage, network, and authorization and authentication infrastructure, which you might be partnering with an IT unit to provide, or an external service provider. The services and tools you offer, as well as that are available through you, and the research objects that are part of your holdings. The model also provides currently a set of key performance indicators and metrics for success measurement. Again, everything's a consideration, but the idea is that all digital research infrastructures that want to be part of a global open research commons or a commons on another level would have something in each one of these hexagons. And then different infrastructures would fit together to create a commons that can then be part of the GORC. So how is it helpful specifically for academic libraries? So academic libraries tend to provide frontline services and support to academic researchers directly. You guys are the front line to who researchers are coming to talk to about their data management plans, how to do RDM. Maybe you're actually doing the RDM services themselves, or you're building a plan on how to get there. You're expected to adopt open research methods support, technologies, and practices. So you're trying to figure out what to do. And then you may want to or need to, depending on your organization mandate, work with other research organizations like other universities, institutions, and then service providers if you can't do everything on your own in-house. So what we're seeing the model could be helpful for is identifying the open research requirements and needs of your researchers that you can address, structuring the discussions on what you need to do from a top-down approach to determine where the gaps are and where you can set priorities. And then ideally using the same language to describe the needs and wants you have in your academic library or of your researchers so that you can interoperate and have better communication with those service providers and other partners. And so I'm going to say again that the model is a really what should you consider. It's not prescriptive. You don't want to do everything in there. And a lot of what we hear about in CAPAL and the other presentations actually in this very session are going to address the how. They address the how on some of the items that are in the model. So we're really talking about the what do you need to consider, and then you have open research practices that actually fill out how do you implement it. So how we recommend using the model. Start at the top, look at the essential elements, dig down into the specific items as you have progressing discussions with leadership or your staff. Map your existing projects to see where you're already succeeding and you can fit together with other service providers, or where you might have gaps that you want to fill that your researchers need. And you can use as a guide for priority setting. I have a profile I'm going to show you very quickly that is specifically made for the Canadian Academic Library landscape, and it's open for comment as well. So because we're interested in getting feedback. There's also an adoption tool and a semantic object if you're interested in those. So looking at the profile that we have for you guys, when you open it, it'll look like a wall of text because, of course, there needs to be an introduction. But essentially, this says a lot of what I already said. You have a glossary, and then you'll have tabs that tell you about each essential element. So if we were to pick an element such as engagement, what you see here are the items in the model, starting at the top level of entities of category and subcategory, and then attributes and features. I've tried to highlight what might be relevant for your academic library system, the questions you can use to guide discussions on whether you have it, if you need to implement it, and what that might look like for you, and then some notes. And so the idea is that you would make a copy of this Google Sheet or download it to edit it on your own. So for example, do you have a structured, coordinated, and implemented communication and engagement plan or mechanisms and media for these channels? And then the idea would be, do you have it and should it be revisited? This is a high priority because most organizations need a communication plan with their partners. So I encourage you to check that out. I encourage you to use it to see if it can help structure your discussions. And I also encourage you to check out what we do next. So the interest group is going to continue working on an implementation map on the how pieces that fit with the what that the model identifies. And the international model working group is going to continue to work with some of our adopters we have internationally. We're going to be mapping to other frameworks like the NIST RDAF and other frameworks that are very popular in this space, as well as implementation maps and profiles like the academic library one I just showcased. So stay in the know, sign up for our groups. They're linked there on the slide, and please feel free to reach out to me directly. I am one of the co-chairs of the GORC groups at the Research Data Alliance, charles.woodford@alliancecan.ca. And thanks for your attention. I look forward to the questions and the other presentations.